कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वनुतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्री महागणपतये नमः। ॐ हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंस प्रचोदयात्। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। कराग्रे वसते लक्ष्मी करमध्ये सरस्वती करमूले तु गोविन्द प्रभाते करदर्शनं समुद्रवसने देवी पर्वतस्थन्नमण्डले विष्णुपत्ने नमस्तुभ्यं पादस्पर्शं क्षमस्व मे। Om. Please do Dharti Pranam. We bow to Dharti Mata. Boliye Dharti Mata ki Jai. Namaskar everyone, and welcome to the Hindu Prachaar Kendra's Sunday morning Satsang, live as usual from our Sri Ram Vijay Mandir, located at Jalibia Trace, Raghunanan Road in Enterprise Central, Trinidad. Thank you all for joining us virtually, and those of you who are here in the Mandir with some extra special guests this morning, and we'll hear about those guests later on. Well, Ganesh Utsav is over, and I hope it has been a very empowering experience for all of you. Social media was just a buzz this past week with all the beautiful posts of the many yajnas, pujas, and of course the Visarjan. I can't recall seeing as many posts for Ganesh Utsav like we had this year, so it was really quite delightful, and we hope that bhav and energy of that time will stay with you, and the bhav and energy also of this special period that we have now entered into, the Pitri Paksh, where we remember and we offer tributes to our ancestors, that it will also be very special for all of us. So our satsang today and for the next couple of weeks, it will naturally focus on this very important occasion, that is Pitri Paksh. We'll therefore be diverting from our usual satsang format because we are inaugurating a series of Pitri Paksh events under the theme, the Ancestral Agenda. There's much to learn and share beyond the domestic ritual features, which we have done quite well in preserving. We have been really excellent with that, and it is our hope that you will find these sessions very informative and enriching. Now, I've said this many times before, that the many events in our Panchang, or Hindu calendar, they provide a buffet of opportunities for us to connect to ourselves by connecting to our dharmic heritage and civilization. And this can be done at many levels. Every Hindu calendar event is a multi-dimensional activity, and at the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, we have always been exploring them in innovative ways as well. And we do so by giving due consideration to Desh, Kal, and Paristiti, our place our time, and our conditions. So Pitri Paksh is no different. And while we have excelled with the upkeep of the domestic traditions, as I said, there is much that has been left untapped. And this is something that we have been very mindful of here at the Kendra. And this is why since 1997, so if you do the math, you can do that while I'm talking. We started since 1997 with Raviji's guidance. We have been organizing community-oriented, empowering Pitri Paksh activities. So if we started in 1997, it means what? This is our 25th year of Pitri Paksh events, and we have hosted lectures and panels along with the traditional rituals to awaken the consciousness of dharmic identity and responsibilities. So through tributes and recollections of our immediate lineage, we can extend ourselves to reconnect our civilizational lineage and our role in living it and advancing it as best as we can. So we must therefore look deeper at how the ritual ceremonial aspects of tarpan, of offering bhojan, of dan, and all the associated practices and disciplines during this period of Pitri Paksh, how they all invite us into a fascinating exploration of ourselves through memories, through history, through sacred ceremonies, and so much more. Because all of these are the links to connect our vast civilizational network. But you will hear more about all of this from Raviji, whom we are so privileged to have with us on stage this morning, and the chair for Pitri Paksh 2022, Vishala Sivdatji, will also share information for this year's events. I want to acknowledge Sri Rajan Bhagwat, who served as the chair for Pitri Paksh for many years. And at the administrative level of our Hindu Prachaar Kendra's calendar events, you might notice that we are transiting to the succession lines we have in training here as we continue to mentor them. So opportunities for leadership and for management of all the activities we are passing on to those who are in training. So Vishalaji will take us through our session from here on, but before handing over to her, I invite all of you to collect your thoughts, to be as focused as you can be. We'll spend just a couple minutes in chanting and praising Bhagwan Krishna with the Om Namo Bhagavati Vasudevaya chant. In chapter 10, verse 22 of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagwan Krishna declared, Pitrunam Aryama Chasmi. Amongst the Pitris, I am Aryama, I am the foremost. So we collect our thoughts to chant and to keep the bhav with the hope that our praises of Bhagwan, that all our efforts this morning will reach every Pitri of ours. We remember them with love and reverence as we pray and as we chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
पीताम्बरं पद्मनाभं परमाक्षं पुरुषोत्तमं
Pitambaram Padmanabham Paramaksham Purushottamam
पवित्रं परमानन्दं
Pavitram Paramanandam
तं वन्दे परमेश्वरम्
Tam Vande Parameshwaram.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय. Jai Sri Krishna. Vishala ji will take us through the rest of our session this morning.
जहाजी पितरी की
Jai.
जहाजी पितरी की
Jai.
जहाजी पितरी की
Jai.
Raviji, founder of Hindu Prachaar Kendra and director of Ancestral Agenda, Geeta Vahini ji, president of the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, Swami Prakashananda, spiritual head of Chinmaya Mission, Iya Entu Springer and Iya Shangawumi, and other honored members of ESOM, Dr. and Mrs. Bhoendranath Tiwari, all other specially invited guests, and my fellow children of the Pitris. Namaskar.
Namaskar.
In my role as the chairperson of the Ancestral Agenda, I welcome you all this morning to our inaugural program of what we are calling this year the Ancestral Agenda, our Pitri Paksh program at the Hindu Prachaar Kendra. Pitri Paksh has always been a very sacred time in our Hindu calendar, and rightfully so. When we talk about Pitri Paksh, Hindus in Trinidad know about offering tarpan, about offering tilanjali, about Pitri Dan, about Gita Path. We know about offering food, and some may even know a little more. But generally, the knowledge of Pitri Paksh will end here. And this is where Raviji enters. And this is where this pioneer project, the Ancestral Agenda, enters. Through this exciting and innovative project, the first of its kind, over the next 2 weeks into what I would like to call 6 landmark events, the Hindu Prachaar Kendra will be placing our focus on creating a special space to honor our ancestors. We will offer tarpan, and we will do offering of food and all of the very sacred and important rituals that come with this time. But further to that, we will also recognize who is a Pitri and why we must honor them. We will understand certain words such as Shrad and Paksh. We will address questions such as what is a female's role in honoring the ancestor. We will join with our neighbors and remember all of the ancestors of this land of Trinidad and Tobago. And we will do all of this through presentations, discussions, debates, and drama. We will laugh, we might cry, we will learn, we will think, but most importantly, we will come together as a community and we will remember. A sankalp was taken by the Hindu Prachaar Kendra in Varsh Pratipada 2022 to stand up and rise up to the Hindu needs of our nation. So as part of our response to that call, this is why this morning we take great pleasure in officially inaugurating our Pitri Paksh, the Ancestral Agenda 2022. Jahaji Pitri ki
Jai.
As I said, Pitri Paksh is about remembering. It is about honoring. And in that spirit, for each event, we will take time to thank those who have sponsored financially or otherwise to make the ancestral agenda possible. And we will honor their Pitris and the Jahajis who came to make this all possible for us. So this morning, before we start, we would like to thank Balkaran Maharaj Ji, a close friend and supporter of the Kendra, for his contribution. And in his name, we honor the late Doon Pandit and his brother, Sri Karo Oja Maharaj. Chaya Ji will light the diya and make offerings on their behalf.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Boliye Sri Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki Jai.
And just a couple words about these brothers who were stalwarts of Sanatan Dharma, and they were responsible for building a mandir all the way on the island of Shakashakari, which was known as Leper Island. And this mandir was actually built to provide spiritual support to those who were domiciled on that island due to suffering from the disease of leprosy. And they were even honored by Queen Elizabeth II, the late, and made members of the British Empire for their efforts. So this morning, we remember them. Raviji has been a pioneer for so many things in Hindu Trinidad. Mantra of the Year, also known as Moti, is one of them, which began in 1985, and it filled a void that we didn't even realize we lacked. Moti came as a voice, a guiding voice, to remind us of Shastric declarations and how they provide relevance to modern-day critical issues that we face. It provided instructions that were born out of a selected verse or line from the Shastras, which is our ancient sacred pool of knowledge. Raviji would then expound on that Sanskrit knowledge in verses of English so that we can understand them and we can adopt the solutions. One such mantra of the year is Atmano Mokshartham. We are taught as young Hindus that the goal of a Hindu life is moksha. But then the question should arise, how do we get moksha? And one of the answers is beautifully explained in this composition by Raviji, that to gain moksha, we must first serve the welfare of the world. So now I invite the Mandali to present the mantra of the year for the year 2000, which you can find in your booklets, Atmano Mokshartham.
Atmano Mokshartham Jagadhitaya Cha Atmano Mokshartham Jagadhitaya
Shakti of Durga is the blood in our vein. Basuni and Aro are our hands for self and the world. We must, we can. Atmano mokshartam jagadhitaya cha. Atmano mokshartam jagadhitaya cha. Know that now is the right time. Feel it stirring in your spine. Hear the Gandivam call so clear. Speak, a Hindu must have no fear. Walk boldly and have no fear. Rise, Lakshman with Sajivan. Rise, Arjun, now you understand. Rise, Hindus, wherever you are. For us, for all, that's Dharma. Atmano mokshartam jagadhitaya cha. Atmano mokshartam jagadhitaya cha. The sankalpa of our dharma. Serve, serve, serve the welfare of the world. But first we have to live our own selves. Rise, 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 a strong united whole.
Trinidad or Tobago, Desh ki jai.
Jagad Hitaya Cha. The refrain of that mantra of the year gives me the perfect words to now use to present our main feature for this morning's inaugural program. Raviji's life work is encapsulated by the term Jagad Hitaya Cha, for the welfare of the world. It becomes almost unnecessary to introduce Raviji because we all know him and we all know his work. What most people are unable to envision in 10 lifetimes, Raviji has been able to do in one. And he still continues. From his mind was born mantra of the year, Pichakari, Gangadhara, Pradakshina, and so much more. And from the mind that brought us all of that, we now add the ancestral agenda to the list. Raviji has always declared how important Pitri Paksh must be to us as Hindus. And we now get a chance to explore why that is so. So I now invite our Guruji, Raviji, to address us on perspectives towards the awakening as he explores Pitri Paksh and its importance to us. Raviji.
जय श्री राम।
Jai Shri Ram.
श्रद्धेया व्यास आसन स्थित गीता वाहिनी जी, केंद्र का अध्यक्ष, पूजनीय स्वामी प्रकाशानंद जी जो हमारे मध्य में आज उपस्थित है, इले उत्सुकान और ईसम से आए हुए महारथीगण जो अफ्रीकी देश का धार्मिक परंपराएं को संभाल रहे हैं इस कैरिबियन क्षेत्र में, माननीय भूपेंद्र दत्त तिवारी जी, पूर्व चांसलर यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ वेस्ट इंडीज़ और उनका धर्मपत्नी, प्रिय और अथक कार्यकर्ता दूल हनुमान जी और बाकी सब, इस अवसर पर मेरे कोटि-कोटान धन्यवाद। तो यहाँ उपस्थित है और अपने जो डायस्पोरा में है, मॉरिशस और सूरीनाम में जो लोग इस समय इस कार्यक्रम को देख रहे सभी को मेरा प्रणाम. I just spoke in Hindi because today we begin our Pitri Paksh, and Hindi is one of the languages of our forefathers. Today, I want to start by asking you to repeat after me a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in which there is an important word that we'll have to look at today. Repeat after me. Sattva, Andarupa, Sarvasya, Shradham, Bhavati, Bharata, Shradham, Yoyam, Purusho, Yo Yat, Shradha, Saeva Saha. This comes from the second to last chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, the third verse, chapter 17. And in it says that the Shraddha of all people, the constituent Shraddha, we'll talk about the definition later on, in all people, each unto themselves, conforms to their mental makeup. Shraddha constitutes, therefore, a person. So when a person walks, it is the volume or the intensity of the Shraddha that is walking. How the walk is. Walk means charit, charit means conduct. So when a person conducts, and you think the person is a male or a female, or a Hindu, or from one of our African religions, or the first people's religions, or Islam, what is walking, what is being conducted is the Shraddha of the person. So the expression that comes out of a person is Shraddha. Now, why this word is important today is because we are engaged in Pitri Paksh, our ancestral fortnight. Pitri means ancestor, and ancestor has no gender. Ancestor, although it's Pitri, and in Sanskrit, when you use a general term for both genders, you use the masculine. So that is Pitri here does not mean female ancestors. It means ancestor. Because gender is only something of a body. And Pitri is a disembodied being. And therefore, gender issue doesn't come. Although conveniently, we still may refer to my Ajita as my ancestor, my Aja, because we have to have terms of reference in order to conduct our passage of ideas and all of that. We continue doing that, making that mistake, but that is all it is, a mistake. Perhaps I don't know why mistake was not Mr. Take, because Mr. is always making more mistakes. So that word Shraddha is going to come up, because when we talk about Pitri Paksh, the second word that comes in our mind is what? Anybody? Yeah? A little loudly. A Shrad. Shrad. Because, you know, for Pitri Paksh, what we have to do is to do a Shrad. And while the word Shrad is so entwined with the concept of Pitri Paksh, we will soon find out that Shrad is not the important word. Because Shrad is only possible when there is an iota of Shraddha. There is no Shrad without Shraddha. As a matter of fact, you will see I was pursuing the Dharma Shastra by Vivekananda, 10 volumes, and there's a whole chapter, a whole set of work on Shraddha and Shraddha. And you will see in that there are some things that you cannot do without when you're going to perform Shraddha. One is that you must have a Brahmin Pandit. Well, how the Pandit is defined? The Pandit must be learned in the Vedas. And after that, the Pandit who is chosen and learned in the Vedas must be of impeccable conduct, charita, impeccable conduct. The discussion goes on to say, okay, but if we have Brahmins and they do not know the whole Vedas, like today, I don't know if there's any Veda, any Pandit in this country or learned person who knows all the Vedas, probably even knowing all the names of the Vedas is another thing, and the constituents of the Vedas. So there is quite possible in such a desha kala paristiti you will have Brahmins, but they don't know the whole Vedas, or they haven't studied the Vedas. So what do we do? The law is that even though you have a Brahmin whose conduct is not good, that Brahmin must be put aside, and in that place ask a Brahmin who only knew the Gayatri mantra. What is clear here is not the genetics or the Brahmin. The clear thing is the conduct. So the person who has to be selected, a person chosen to conduct a Shraddha, to institute into Shraddha, the element that must be there is a person of good conduct. Jai Shri Ram. And that is very clearly exposed in Kane's work by Vivekananda, the Dharma Shastras. Dharma Shastra is about the laws of conduct and conduct in Hindu work. Whereas from Shastras, everything is based on Shastras. So this verse here points out that the value of, in humankind, of this thing we call Shraddha. What? Shraddha. Now, I don't have it written here, but there's a difference. One is Shraddha, long A in the middle. Shraddha, say Shraddha. And the next one is Shraddha. So when the long A is in the middle, it is the activity that contains the value called Shraddha. So that we must not mistake Shraddha for Shraddha. And Shraddha is only Shraddha when there is in it the volume of Shraddha. So that's a very clear thing we must have in our mind. And the second thing, the performer must be, I've just talked about it, and two other very important conditions: proper time and proper place. That is quite a whole range of things to talk about, but proper time and proper place. Because dharma is always watchful of Desh, Kal, and Paristiti. Our chairperson talked about that at the beginning. Time, space, and condition. Right away, it's a very interesting position to hold that Sanatana Dharma itself, the eternal Dharma, has to also mark time with Desh, where is this thing happening? You know how, and more so long time, where you're having a puja, yes, the old people, very fussy, and you'll hear more too fussy with these things, you know. It is not fussiness, it is fastidiousness. To get it just so. Because it's not Aji or Aja who we well prepare for, respectfully, but is it Devata or the Pitri will be coming here. So the human activity to prepare that place comes with a kind of fastidious approach to have it just right. Everything in the Sanatana Dharma, if we are laparwa about it, you'll wah-wah. Laparwa and Dharma does not go together. Precision. That is why you will find that from a long time, especially when I was growing up, and somebody's reading the Ramayana or the Bhagavad Puran, also, somebody will get up in the middle and scold the Pandit. Aise nahi kahna hai, aise kahna hai. This is the way to pronounce it. The reason for that was that Sanskrit was such a perfect languaging that you had to be precise to get the outcome. And this is why you find that people learn the mantra and they say, do you pronounce it properly? This is what you go through. We don't have that again. This fastidiousness, attention to the dharmic process in every matter. When a Hindu walks with that responsibility. That when I utter, because vak, the word, the sound, is a feature of Omkar, from which everything evolves and devolves. So taking care, to fear that treading. So that is why it's important to understand these words. So I want to just point out there are a few other words that are there that will always feature. But this is what I said is center. One is Pitri. Repeat that for me. Pitri. Now look at the word Pitri by itself. It is male gender. But Pitris have no gender. We talked about that. As a matter of fact, we will look at this thing. We have Deva Paksh, which lasts 10 days, Ganesh Utsav. और उसके बाद Pitri Paksh, Ancestors Paksh, fortnight. And then what again? Next one is Matri Paksh, 9 days, 9 nights, Nauratam. And at the end of that, we have Vijayadashmi. So the movement of the effort that the person, the community takes, starting from Ganesh, the remover of all obstacles for everything else, then going to contemplation on Pitris. Yes, contemplation. This is what I'm talking about. And then going beyond the Pitris to the Matris. The Matris are not left out, the mothers, the 9 nights of the Holy Mothers. It is only after going through this system that we could now arrive Vijayadashmi, and Ram could defeat Ravan and return to Ayodhya and rule. I call this the saffron patch in the calendar. We're living in a democratic state. But for me, as far as I understand, democracy is a next way to get vested interest, manipulating the systems, economics, culture, and everything else. So they're doing a job on the people. So from one type of slavery to another kind of slavery, this one is a smart slavery. And we're still thinking, we're not free yet. Because democratic doesn't represent the voice of every individual at all. And it goes less and less and less, and we vote for people, put them in position, and then what happens? So the point here, democracy is what we as people of an ancestral tradition must be concerned about. In the mind, whatever desh kal paristiti we live in, that we must continue with democracy. So, Pitri and Paksha. Paksha is a very important word that you have to deal with. And then Shraddha and Shrad. And what next one is Tarpan. The word Tarpan doesn't move away from Shrad nor Paksh. The overall look of the ritual offering at the Kushagras, that is Tarpan. But what it means, Tarpan comes from triptam, tripyatam, to satisfy. You make the offerings with all the regulations, and the Pitris will be satisfied with that. So they call it Tarpan. In it also is the offering of Shraddha, because it is also a Shrad. So these are the important words that we have to reflect on as we go along. And having said that, I was once we were talking about something, and I said that, look, if I was asked to give a date for holiday for Hindus for a country, which one you'd give? I said, certainly not Diwali. I said, I will give Pitri Paksh. And if I was asked to give a day for all the peoples of the country, I would say Pitri Paksh. Because it is the Pitris that put out all the other things, what we call holidays and tithis and all of those things. If Pitris were not there, that wouldn't happen. We still live in their footsteps. They could never avoid that. But I say, therefore, for the country, the best holiday would be Pitri Paksh, and the last day. The last day has a very interesting term. It is Sarva Pitri Amavasya. It's for all the Pitris. Now, we as Hindus have to reach a very important point here, a challenge. We boast that we come from a civilization, Hindus, of Sanatan Dharma, eternal, universal. Well, we are challenged to be universal. Because the last day of Pitri Paksh is Sarva Pitri Amavasya. It is all ancestors' day. So when we go to celebrate, the first day in Pitri Paksh, right down, it has defined who the offerings and our oblations and the respect and the Shraddha goes to. But the last day it goes to all Pitris. And if Sanatana Dharma is regulated by Desh, Kal or Paristiti, how do we manage Sarva Pitri Amavasya All Ancestors Day in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, this Vedic or Trinidad and Tobago, in the context of this 2022, and in the context of the paristiti, the situation in which we are. Do we say then that Satsang of Pitri means only the ancestors from Bharat? Or do we respect the dharma which we belong to and we boast about, to say, no, all ancestors? And therefore, in the ancestral agenda that the Kendra has set itself forward, it has invited all the different groups who respect their ancestors and who then wish away their ancestors to come together on All Ancestors Day. And we shall have separate spaces. Everybody will do their rituals separately. We will respectfully look at each other and learn about each other's ancestors. And through that, hopefully, at a very basic level, to do the responsibility of Hinduism to this desha kala paristiti in which we now exist. So, that is why I say, I would suggest that Pitri Paksha, Pitri Amavasya as the best option for a day for all Trinidadians and all Caribbean peoples to come together. Jai Sri Ram. Now, as we enter the corridors of ancestors, something changes. And what is that? All desh and paristiti, desha, kal and paristiti vanishes. All desh, space, countries vanish from the time we start to enter the corridors of the Pitris. So all desh, kal, time vanishes. Pitris vanishes. Desh, kal, conditions, situation. Because we are now in a realm, getting active in a realm where there is no time, space, and condition. So therefore, as we sit in Trinidad and we offer our Pitris, Shraddha for our Pitris, our Shraddha for our Pitris, and we offer our hearts and our respect and everything else. It is a place without any walls. So that's a very important thing. Therefore, as we now contemplate on Pitris, as people of our nation, we must owe our responsibilities as people of citizens, at a citizen level, to this nation. As a matter of fact, Bhagwan Ramachandra, when he defeated Ravana, and the people came and asked him, well, enter the city and take the throne, it's yours. By the rule of military might, you have won. Come and enter the city. He turned to his brother and said something remarkable. He said, Janani janma bhumischa swargadapi gariyasi. That mother and motherland are greater than Swarg, heaven. Sri Ramchandra is saying a word here that for us as Hindus in Trinidad and Tobago to understand our relationship with where we are born. It's a very secret, very serious word here that the Ramayana teaches us, and we follow the Ramayana principle. That is our Shastra text. Ram is our Kula Devta. And Ramayana is our Kul Shastra. And Rama, at the end of the defeat, the most dramatic moment to make a decision for a golden throne or go back to Ayodhya. But he said, no. Not that throne, not anything else, not even Swarga. I go back to my mother and my motherland where I was born. That notwithstanding, when we enter the corridors of our ancestors, all those issues vanish. So Pitri Paksh, Swamiji, takes the individual to experience a different kind of a world. I do not know for sure if that is a world, but we are helpless with language. I don't know if it's a spaceless space. So it's a powerful fortnight to encounter a widest possible experience. Perhaps it is an experience-less experience. So Pitri Paksh is not a simple little thing that we, come and find it difficult to make us some offerings in the remembrance. It is greater than that. And so if you ask why this Pitri Paksh demands so much effort, it is a pre-preparation, it's a preparation for what is really there to encounter. It's something much more difficult than the offering of the Shrad. The Shrad is an excuse and an instrument to take you there through all the observations, the fasting, the sleeping on the ground. I remember a long time when I was growing up, Pitri Paksh time, everybody on the ground. Actually, we had just bought bed. I still remember, because we always used to sleep on the ground, but we had to come back down because it's Pitri Paksh. So all those difficult things was to get yourself out of the human fragilities and encounter a bigger possibility. And through encountering that bigger possibility, you discover the human potential. The human being and human family and the human civilization is so limited, but we, being the Atman, we have a greater potential than just being human. And Pitri Paksh challenges us to move beyond what we are accustomed to, what we could have been work and hard and bring and fund ourselves and make pleasant and nice and comfortable, to get out of that comfort zone of being human and remember that we owe all of this to the Pitris. In that acknowledgement, that moment of Shraddha, of Shraddha, is offered. If we look at a certain incident in the Upanishad, just at the tail end of the Vedic period, the Kathopanishad, examine this thing, very, very important. There was a little boy standing around, as little children do when there are activities, when the yajna was going on. And lots of pandits and everything going on, and mantras and all of that. And finished, and time now, the law is to give dan and dakshina. Somehow we have gone wrong to embarrass people and put down pandits because they accept dan and dakshina. That's part of the system. And we have to stop this stupidness to come here with foreigner eyes and see our own tradition. In those days, pandits used to go and work and come. And you want them to serve you. You want them to not. We even talk about how uneducated the pundits are. Have we built a theological college for them? Or are they supposed to build it for themselves? These are questions we must ask. It's easy to blame. But the point here is that yes. So the Dan, Gita is always reminding me what I get lost in my mind sometimes. So that law is so important that this little boy started to get jittery. Because the children learning and the children seeing. There's a line in one of our songs. What is it, Gita? Be careful what you do. Lala is watching you. Yes. Be careful what you do because Lala is watching you. In one of the songs, Mantras of the Air. So that the child knows this much, that when it's time to give dan, you give the best. If you know when we're going to do puja and a flower fall down, you don't pick it up and offer it because you felt it fall. It's a fallen one. Actually, I have a problem with it because it was my fault, not the flower's fault. So I pick it up, dust it up. Bhagwan, you have to help me with this. I am in a dilemma. I didn't, it's the flower fault. I have to put it back here. But the point is that you offer the best. And what was the father doing? He had plenty of cows. He was offering the cows that gave their last milk. That is the description. It probably had Tanaili. So the father was faulting the tradition, he was faulting dharma. And the little child started to get jittery. And the little child felt a surge of something, Shraddha Vivesha. No? Shraddha Vivesha? Shraddha Vivesha. To get avivesh is to be overwhelmed. Avivesh. With what? Shraddha. Not Shraddha Vivesha, Shraddha Vivesh. The power of Shraddha overwhelmed this child. And the child started to behave. So, you know, sometimes when a child wants attention, they start to make little trouble, and we read that as the child is doing disobedience. It may or not always be disobedience. Something is happening. You understand? So Nachiketa, this child is starting to misbehave a little bit to get attention. Father didn't do that, so he whispered. Look, the behavior of the child, the culture, the sanskar of the child, doesn't want to embarrass the father, but he felt he is necessary to correct his father. He said, Bahum namemi janmaha pratamaha bahum namemi madhyama. I am the best. Because father always saying, my papa, you're the best. Huh? You're the best. Well, he take it literally. Of all, of so many, I am the best. And he wasn't just being nasty. He said, of all, of so many, I am also middling. So he was honest. He never said, of all, of any at all, I am the worst. He did not go to say, I am the worst of all. But of many, I am the best. Of the many, I am middling. And why did he say that? He was indicating to the father, you are giving the worst of the cows, the dakshina. The whole yajna was sharapi. He was concerned for his father, for his misdeed, his adharma. And he could not help himself, Shraddha Vivesh. He was helpless and he had to talk out. So he says, to whom shall you give me? Now that led to a big issue that he said, I give you to Yamraj. You know, sometimes when you're vexed with it, I'll kill you, kill you, So much love, I'll kill you, So I will send you to Yamraj. And the Nachiketas instantly left and started walking south towards the reputed Yamraj. The point here is this child, Nachiketa, they sang this song about Nachiketa, is our ideal to strive for. Because he experienced that Shraddha Avivesh. As we look at ourselves in Trinidad and Tobago as a Hindu community, how do we match up, not to the Africans, not to the Christians or the Muslims, how do we match up to our own values of our Pitri Paksh? How do we match up? That's the question. And if we are faulting, what iota of Shraddha Avivesh that we feel here today, at this point? And what we must do to be able to feel that Shraddha Avivesh, an overwhelming lash of faith. Actually, when I say faith, I am not wanting to translate it into the Christian theological use of the word faith, because it's not different. It is very different. But that's Shraddha. So in Pitri Paksh period, when we come together to offer Shrad, how much Shraddha is being injected in the whole experience? And this is why before we have so many different things to look out for and to do, and food, we could eat, food we cannot eat, and all those things, just to prepare ourselves to a kind of height, emotional height. I'm talking about emotional height. Hindu is asking for a different cue. We know from small about IQ. And we stop there. As long as the children has a good IQ, you're happy. We don't care how much brutalized they are and the situation of your EQ, the emotional quotient. But after IQ and EQ, for dharmic people, next thing we need SQ. What is SQ? I ask you. SQ means Shraddha quotient. Pitri Paksh today calls out in Trinidad and Tobago to the diaspora, to all Hindus here, for a retrieval of the Shraddha quotient. You know, long time when we were small and we see in Ramayana reading, soon you'll see Aji or Mausi or Bhauji pull their orni, hide in their face, and we little children laughing at them, stupid, going on with. But Shraddha Vivesh, you know, you experience here standing not for fear, but something profound. And that moment, all the pains of your Jahajihood and your slavehood goes, and you recover a certain dip into your deepest self, and you come back again to face the tomorrow and to face the master in those days and the whoever it is. Because they had that capability. We have lovely beds, lovely curtains, but we do not have that EQ. I mean, that SQ, that Shraddha quotient. So this year, as we inaugurate the Pitri Paksh, and we term it Ancestral Agenda. Actually, Gita ji reminded me that we have been carrying the concept Ancestral Agenda for some time. Now, I forced this upon the Kendra because I needed to start this thing that has in my mind for a long time, and we started it 30 years ago, and we were doing it and recreated the community Tarpan. But this other aspect has been left to do, and I didn't want to go and not having started. So I want to thank the President, Gita ji, my Beti, and the members for allowing that this year, in spite of so much problems to deal with it, to put this new thing. And I also want to let you know that the Orisha and the First People communities are fully supportive. We have many of them here present today who are leaders in their communities. And we will have on the, all right, so Vishalaji will go. That Sarva Pitri Mahavasyaya, that day, we'll have here at the Kendra. And somebody was, I think was my sister and two, who we always quarrel together almost every other day, that this is a revolutionary idea. I said, not revolutionary, evolutionary. It's the first time it might be happening anywhere in the world, but Trinidad is known to have started many things that the world adopted. The small Tin Island Valley that we have, and a Valley Valley belongs, it has two parts. Many great things have happened, and the world have taken it from us here. How do you call the Emancipation Day across the world now, Diwali Nagar across the world now. So we have something about this space. So we will offer this Sarva Pitri Amavasya this year, all ancestors. And we ask you to come out on that day, bring your family and friends to participate. Now, throughout the week, we have some more activities, and they'll be letting you know. I just want to also point out that today is 9/11. Am I correct? Huh? Huh? 9/11. Today, some years ago, the whole world was scared because of the bombing in America. But some years before that, I think it was 100 years before that, there was another 9/11. Yes, Sita, you were all the keeper of how many years it was at that time? Huh? This year? Yeah. So 129 years this year, but I'm talking about when Vivekananda went to America. He was not invited to the Parliament of Religion, but he went there. But the first time, because Hindus had kind of receded from the world. But just remember, even Vivekananda, when he went to America, before them, the Jahajis came to Trinidad in 1845. So, but that was forced. So Indians were not going out, Hindus were not going out. They were just so scared of the world and all of that. Vivekananda went out. A young boy took Swami, and he went. He had no place to go. The first night he stepped in a box, and I think it was winter. And in the Parliament of Religion, when he got a chance to speak, his first 5 words he said, "Sisters and brothers of America." And the response to that Sisters and Brothers of America was like if it was a set of people now going to see some Michael Jackson show. They started to stand up and stampede and clap and dance and all kind of thing. The words hit them, because all the people, when they came to speak, they talked about their religions. They talked about where they come from and everything. Vivekananda addressed everybody as sisters and brothers. That was the difference. And at the end, he spoke. He said these words. I will quote to you, brethren, a few lines from a hymn, which is a shloka, it's translated here, from a shloka which I remember to have been repeated from my earliest childhood, which is every day repeated by millions of human beings. It is, as different streams having their sources in different paths, which men take through different tendencies. Various though they appear, crooked or straight, all lead to thee. So the world was hearing for the first time at the Parliament of Religion that there is a dharma which understands whichever faith you belong to, it will lead to the ultimate. It was an evolutionary idea dropped in America, which at the tail end of the age of discovery meant to destroy all other faiths. Vivekananda was reversing that idea. All the pagans of the world, the amount people died is the greatest Holocaust. The Jews' Holocaust is minor. Our ancestors in Bharata, 40,000 mandirs were broken. Britain stole, I think it is, $17 trillion. All of those impoverished our place, and we looked at ourselves as always poor. We check in Africa, it's the same story up to now. And they looked at themselves as the poorest people, when what was happening, the world was taking advantage. So the people who are called pagans have something to offer to the world, and that is Shraddha. Jai Shri Ram.
Jahaji Pitri ki, Sarva Pitri ki. Thank you, Raviji, and I'm sure now we have a lot of food for thought, so we might need breakfast, but don't worry, breakfast will still be provided. And now I would like to ask the Mandali to present the mantra of the year 1999, Nachiketa, which Raviji has spoken about, so I now invite the Mandali.
You can follow. This is the mantra of the year 1999. Yes, G? Yes, Raviji is just reminding me, and I can also recall that in 1999, this mantra of the year was written in Mauritius, one of our diaspora countries. So you can follow. It is...
I could not reach back home in time for the program.
Yes.
And wrote it and sent it, and I think you all, Vijay and you all got together to do that program without me.
Yes. So you can follow. We'll all, pass the RT now and do the offerings. And it's a great piece, a great reflection. Raviji has spoken about this. And we learn a little bit about the Nachiketa possibility in all of us, because it's our civilization speaking to us. If you need some inspiration, look at yourself in the mirror. There's a hidden Nachiketa in each one of us. Anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha pare anupashya yatha purve pratipashya tatha
Pitri Pakshya Tathapare Pitri Pakshya Tathapare. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. You may feel like a stranger, but you are Nachiketa, Nachiketa. Rise from your slumber, sing out your mantra, my Nachiketa. Wake from your slumber, stir up the janta, cause you are Nachiketa. Down in Patal, look at Sagarhal, Bhagirathi mere lal. Once more Ganga Dhara must flow from Shiva's Jata, restore your Nata. You can bring down Ganga from Devaloka. You can make Yama give you moksha, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. Where are the Munis and the brave Kshatris who are children of the Rishis? I watch and I weep, cause they sleep in your sleep. It's a long watch to keep. The fire of the Rishis, let it blaze again. The blood of the Rishis coursing through your veins, man, Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. As a Jahaji, you broke Kalapani, Sat Samundar Pad. Out of the plantation, you built us a nation from toil and pyar. Now sanskar beti beta to become Nachiketa. Yes, sanskar beti beta to become Nachiketa. So that rishis could walk in this land, oh Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. For inspiration, look in the mirror, my Nachiketa. You may feel like a stranger, but you are Nachiketa, Nachiketa. Rise from your slumber, sing out your mantra, my Nachiketa. Wake from your slumber, stir up the janta, cause you are Nachiketa. We are Nachiketa, we are Nachiketa, we are Nachiketa. बोलिए श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय.
So, my fellow Nachiketas, are you ready to rise from our slumber? Are we ready to rise from the slumber?
Yes.
Yes, our Pitris demand it. Now, over the next 2 weeks, we at the Kendra will have no time for slumber at all. We will be very awake because we will have our series of events as part of our ancestral agenda. So now I take the opportunity to formally invite everyone who is viewing and who is here today to the following 5 events, since today was our first and we have 5 remaining, that will make up the Ancestral Agenda 2022. They will all take different forms, but the focus will be the same: remembering and honoring our Pitris. I will tell you about the 5 events very briefly, and I know it might be a bit of information overload, so the information will also be forwarded on our social media platforms, and invitations will continue to be sent to you. The first event will be held this Thursday, Thursday the 15th of September at 7 p.m. right here at the Hindu Prachaar Kendra. So we have 2 events that are similar to each other. One is on Thursday night and one is on Friday night this week. Thursday the 15th, Friday the 16th. And that is Tulsidas Ramayan. On these events, we will be looking at Pitri Paksh and the themes that surround Pitri Paksh, and they will be presented by 2 very prominent and very well-educated presenters. On the first night, Thursday, we will have presentation by Dr. Bhuendra Tiwari, who we all know is the past principal of the University of the West Indies, past member of Parliament, and a very knowledgeable person who will offer us many academic insights into Pitri Paksh, taking the form of the Ramayan. And on Friday night, which is the following night, we will have Ramayan presentations done by Sri Mukesh Baburamji, who is a very powerful social commentator and will have very interesting perspectives to offer on Pitri Paksh. So we look forward to seeing you both for those both events. Following that, which will be on Sunday, which will be next week Sunday, the 18th of September, we will have our Samuhik Community Tarpan, and like Geetaji said, we have been having this for 25 years. This will be the 25th year that the Hindu Prachaar Kendra has been offering this form of Community Tarpan. And we have spoken about how ritual is very important in this period of Pitri Paksh. And we all have our duties to our homes, our Kula Dharma, and we perform Tarpan at home, but we also have a responsibility to our Samaj, our community. So this is why the Hindu Prachaar Kendra comes together to offer Tarpan and recognize the Pitris in this way, because they have built our communities and have allowed us to have this space. So that is Sunday, the 18th of September. Following that, next week, Friday, the 23rd of September, on Sunday we start at 9 a.m. Now, following that, on the 23rd of September, Friday the 23rd, which is next week, Friday, at 6:30 p.m., right here, all events are right here at the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, we will have the Caribbean Panchayat. Now, the Yuva Kendra, in coordination with Techno Dharma, which is the technology-based platform of the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, will bring to you a drama entitled Hoga Do the Walk. We are brought into a traditional panchayat setting, just like Aji and Aja used to have, but this panchayat is in the year 2022. And we are raising modern concerns faced by youths about topics such as marriage, careers, and we will be placing special emphasis on some confusions that surround Pitri Paksh, like can daughters offer tarpan, or if Jambidas really follow you during this 2-week period, and many other interesting things we will be looking at. So you definitely don't want to miss that. That is next week, Friday. And our final event, which is our feature event, is a collaboration between Hindu Prachaar Kendra and Ancestral, on which we are calling All Ancestors Day, and this is falling on the date of the Sarva Pitri Amavasya. And the name of this event is Neighboring the Ancestors. It will be held on Sunday, the 25th of September at 1:30 p.m. right here at the Hindu Prachaar Kendra, and Raviji has already given some details about it. We will be able to see the rituals that our brothers and sisters of different religions do and perform to honor their ancestors. And we will also in turn honor the Pitris. And this event will take a special form. We will have the rituals being done, and we will also have a panel discussion as well as certain cultural presentations that will bring us together in worshiping and praising the ancestors. And this will be, like I said, a collaboration of Hindu, Orisha, and the First People traditions. And it really will be a landmark event, a pioneer event, a very community, national, nation-building event that I am sure you all don't want to miss. So we definitely invite you all to come out on the 25th. And information, like I said, will continue to be shared with you all on these events. We will also be sharing links for some of the events which will be live streamed, so that information will be coming. The live stream links will be for those of you who are international, because those of you who are in Trinidad, we expect to see you here in the Mandir, and to come and really feel the power of the Pitris in person. It's something you definitely should not miss. So with that, now we come to the end of today's program. I thank Raviji for making this space for us to honor our ancestors. And my wish for all of us is that the Pitris should continue to flow through us, guide us, and bless us as we awaken our inner Nachiketas to stand to the call of Dharma and to solve the challenges within and without us. Jahaji Pitri ki!
Jai!
Jahaji Pitri ki!
Jai!
Jahaji Pitri ki!
Jai! Jai Shri Ram. Thank you very much, Vishalaji. Only yesterday I was saying I wish there is some secret where we could share links only with the international people. So that, because the virtual is what everyone has gotten so comfortable and accustomed to being home that yes, we're still exercising some caution with COVID, but you know, we want to have you out in these programs. We talk often about our bhav, you know, bring your energy, bring your support, bring your commitment and come. So I don't know when the technicians will develop that secret way for us to share only for the international viewers. So it's been a very full, wonderful morning. We always close off our satsang with the traditional mantras. I invite you to all please stand. Those of you who are here in the mandir, of course, you can also do the same at home through our closing mantras. We pray for everyone and everything. So we collect our thoughts and we join our voices with this intention and prayer that all will be blessed. Om Durjano Sajano Bhuyat Sajana Shantimapnuyat Shanto Mucheta Bandhebhyo Muktaschanyan Vimochayet Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Dhyau Shantir Antarikshagum Shanti Prithvi Shantir Apaha Shantir Aushadhaya Shantir Vanaspataya Shantir Vishve Deva Shantir Brahma Shanti Sarvagum Shanti Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantiredhi Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Jag Pranam. We offer together salutation to divinity in and through the entire creation. Siya Ram mein sab jag jani, karau pranam jodi jug pani. Siya Jai Shri Ram. Prem se aur jor se. Let us show that we are awakened by the sound and the energy of our voices as we chant victory to divinity and victory to all things noble. बोलिए गजानन स्वामी की, श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की, उमापति महादेव की, जगदम्बे माता की, पवन सुत हनुमान की, सियापति रामचंद्र की, गोस्वामी तुलसीदास की, ट्रिनिडाद और टबेगो देश की, सर्व पितृ की, बोलिए श्री सत्य सनातन धर्म की जय. Jai Jai Sitaram. Please have your seats, everyone. So all the announcements have been given. Of course, lots of dates and information to absorb. Just look out on our social media platforms for all the details. We will post as the events are coming up so that you won't be too confused by all that is happening. And please do remember, after these 2 Sundays of Pitri Paksh activities are over, and the next Sunday will be our special Navaratri Satsang, and you will also receive the information about that. So we thank you all for joining us, those of you who have been with us virtually and those of you who are present here in the Mandir. We look forward to all of you being present for our Pitri Paksh Ancestral Agenda, and we wish you all a very safe, blessed and productive week. Namaskar.